The time is 6:34 p.m. The Planning Commission meeting for the City of Inkster is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Nolan.
Present.
Chairman Chisholm.
Present.
Commissioner Davis.
Present.
Commissioner Willis.
Present.
Commissioner Ashley Williams.
Present.
Commissioner McDaniel. I know that she indicated she was going to be excused tonight, so.
Yep.
Commissioner Tanya Williams.
Present.
Commissioner Hall. Commissioner Hayes Bradford.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. We're down to adoption of the agenda. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, are there any additions or subtractions? Hearing none, the floor is open for a motion to adopt the agenda as is.
So moved. Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We're down to item number 3, adoption of minutes. Item 3A, adoption of December 19th, 2023 meeting minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Are there any additions or changes? Hearing none, the floor is open for a motion to adopt the minutes for December 19th, 2023 as is.
Motion to adopt the minutes 2023 as is.
I second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We're down to item number 4. First hearing of the public for items not scheduled for a public hearing, but on the agenda. That would be items listed under new business. However, two of those would be in the public hearing. So really it's just the one site plan enhancements for Department of Public Services yard at 26900 Princeton Avenue. Annual planning report and annual work plan, training opportunities, zoning ordinance, or that's all those are trainings. If there's anyone from the general public who wishes to speak to those particular matters at this time, please feel free to approach the podium, state your name for the record. Hearing and seeing no movement, we are moving down to item number 5, public hearings. The floor is open for a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing. Second.
It's been properly moved and second. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. We're on item 5A for the public hearing, case number 20-38, special land use to allow a marijuana retailer at 315 Inkster Road in the B2 Thoroughfare Mixed Use District. This is to conduct a public hearing for the consideration of recommendations to City Council regarding the marijuana retailer at 315 Inkster Road. Ms. Dixon, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. This application was originally made for a special land use at 315 Inkster Road on December 3rd, 2020. The site plan was dated January 28th, 2021, and during a time of transition, this file unfortunately was misplaced. This fall, we were going through all of our files. We finally had the capacity to do so, and we found this application. So we've been asked to review the application for this special land use and site plan. This is the location of Flower Bowl 2, and it is currently an operational marijuana retailer. So just to give the background, that's why this is on the agenda with such a backdated application. The applicant had proposed and is currently utilizing 2,300 square feet portion of the approximately 10,000 square foot plaza with addresses 297 through 333 Inkster Road, and the Flower Bowl 2 is currently at 315 Inkster Road. The location was previously approved for a marijuana retailer in 2016. This site is located on the east side of Inkster Road, just south of Cherry Hill. And this was rebuilt after a fire that occurred in 2019. The site plan specifically was regarding that rebuilding of the front facade, but not anything to do with the footprint of the structure. The site is zoned B2 mixed-use thoroughfare district where marijuana adult uses are considered special land uses. So some of the special land use considerations that we found that may need attention by this body and the city council. The location is within approximately 114 feet, property line to property line, of a preschool Creative Kids just on the west side of Inkster Road, which does not meet the requirement of a 500-foot buffer from a drug-free zone. Drug-free zone does include, in its definition, a preschool, daycare, or childcare center. The site plan review does note that the security plan needs to be registered with the police department. To our knowledge, that has been done. And a no smoking sign added as well to the site and the site plan. Agreement to inspections upon request by the building official, fire department, and law enforcement officials. Indicating that all marijuana-related activities shall be done indoors. And note agreeing to maintain a logbook or database identifying by date the amount of medical marijuana on the premises for each qualifying patient caregiver. A note indicating that all marijuana will be contained within an enclosed locked facility. A note indicating that the sale, consumption, or use of alcohol or tobacco products on the premise is prohibited. The use may not be harmonious with the current 2017 master plan, as we've discussed in the past. The master plan is largely silent, specifically on the use of marijuana, but there was public comment at that time to indicate that the community may not support marijuana retailers. And further discussion, as I think most of us know, at public hearings has also voiced some concerns and hesitation around marijuana retailers in the city. The use may not be considered an improvement to the community when weighing social and health disadvantages against economic benefits. So that's something for this body to consider. And the use may have a nuisance from odors, although I don't have any record of any complaints from this particular location. And then obviously the use is subject to the review from the city engineer, fire department, and police department. I have not received any major concerns from those bodies, but just to highlight kind of the underlined items in our review, we did go through and also it looked at all the 9 special land use items that we usually examine, and this code requires us to examine any special land use requests against. We did find that it was harmonious with the existing character. We believe that there is adequate public services and facilities. We understand that there might be some concern with the odor, but we didn't find there to be concern about smoke, fume, glare, noise, or vibration. We do not believe this to be a reduction of economic viability. However, the location of a marijuana retailer could potentially discourage other types of users from locating within the vicinity of the facility. And we, again, don't know if this will enhance the safety, welfare, morals, character, comfort, or convenience of the community. It is largely consistent with the intent of the zoning ordinance, given that this is a special land use, and the site plan review did show only minor concerns regarding some of those additional notes that I mentioned. And then most of the additional standards regarding marijuana retailers in general were those notes about adding no smoking sign, the security plan, the locked area for the product. The biggest item that I'll draw your attention to is the child care facility across the street within about 115 feet measured property line to property line, which is how the newest amendment to the ordinance measures those buffers. So I'm here to answer any questions. I know the applicant is here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, we'll go applicant, general public, and then this body. Applicant being here, please approach the podium and state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Abe Hashem, and I'm the applicant. Good evening.
If you had anything at this time to say to this body, feel free to do so. And commissioners, if you had any questions or concerns at this time for the applicant, feel free to address those.
I had the first one.
Oh, Commissioner Hayes Bradford.
I'm my first concern was that the number one thing, how do we get past the child care thing?
Right.
You said, how do we?
Yes. How do we do that? Or do we?
Is that for the applicant or Ms. Dixon or?
Has that been addressed at all on any level?
No, it was not.
It was not.
It was not.
Okay.
I have a question. You finished?
Renault.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
When did you purchase the building?
Mr. Mayor, I think I bought it in 2018.
2018?
2020, I'm sorry.
Okay. You remember the month?
If I'm not mistaken, it's either August or September.
Okay.
I do have that record, the paperwork at the office.
Anything further, commissioners, before we, I guess, turn it over to general public? All right, hearing none at this time, if there is anybody from the general public who wishes to speak during the public hearing for questions, concerns towards the applicant or this body, please feel free to approach the podium and state your name for the record.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Sandra Watley, and I'm an Inkster resident, and I'm here because I have numerous questions regarding the process that was taken for this establishment to open. It didn't follow any of the rules that are listed in the ordinance for obtaining a license. And one of the ordinances plainly states that you can't get a license until you have approval from both planning and city council. None of this was done by the applicant, yet he still got a license. So I'm concerned as to how he bypassed those requirements and still received a license, because I can't understand how one can be issued without that process. The second thing is that during the last city council that ended in November, on the 6th of November, city council voted to revoke the license of this establishment. Somehow that never happened, even though this same applicant filed a suit against the city and has remained open ever since then. So it seems to me like there's some sort of triple benefit to this client going on, where his license is revoked, so technically he's supposed to be closed, but he remains open and he still collects money that he uses to sue us. So I have a problem with that. I do have a problem also with the odor. I have made complaints to that effect that come from the area there at 315. And also, I am really, really concerned about the applicant's blatant disregard for all of our rules and regulations. I mean, if you're going to be in this city, I mean, you would think everyone here is law-abiding and whatever, but this client has proved himself not to be so, based on the fact that he remains open, he didn't follow the process, had he done that, he would have been made aware of the 500-foot buffer between drug-free zones. I mean, so all of this is, I have a problem, especially with this establishment. So if anyone else, has something to say, I really want you all to not allow this special land use. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the general public who wishes to speak?
Hello, my name is Dr. Shamiran Kalani. I am the president of the Inkster Chamber of Commerce. And the reason I'm here is trying to support our businesses in this community. Apparently, he did receive a license. Now, if the city doesn't understand how he received it, that's really sad. That puts our businesses in jeopardy. 1 minute we have a license, and the next minute is taken away from us. And this is not a good face for this city at all. And this is why I'm here, trying to protect my business and other people's businesses. And I don't understand why a license was given knowing that there is a daycare around the corner. That should not have been done, but it was done. And this person has spent a lot of money to bring this business up to code, and apparently every system has approved him. And now all of a sudden, a few years down the road, you're saying just because there's a daycare center 150 feet away, I mean, the city should have known that. But that's all. Thank you for your consideration, and that's it. Do you have any questions from me?
That's, your resuscitation of what happened is not exactly what happened, but I mean, I understand you're on the outside, so you don't know exactly, we don't know exactly what happened, but it didn't happen like that. All business owners are responsible to know the local ordinances when they apply for or attempt to open businesses. We have to furnish that information to them if they request it, but it's always on the website. You can get a copy of it. So we want businesses to open. This situation was unfortunate that a license got issued before they came to the Planning Commission, to the City Council. Obviously it happened last year, I guess. So all of us weren't, some of us were on the Planning Commission, but it never came before them, so they never got a chance to do anything.
But that's the whole problem. We come to the city, and as a business owner, I come to the city and I say, what do I need to do? And I'm not expert, and believe you me, I cannot read the city language or the governmental language. You give me a scientific paper, I can read it. But the city language is really confusing. And that's why we come to the city. We say, please help us. What do I need to do? Then the steps are, you do this first, you do this next, and you do that. And then you say, I cannot issue you the license. That's the simplest thing. We cannot give you this license till you do number A and number B. And if you don't have those paperwork, you cannot buy a property. Matter of fact, I'm stuck because I got supposed to be putting cameras up, in order to buy this little piece of land. And I didn't know. And I'm supposed to know magically all of the laws of the land. And that's why we come to the city for help.
Well, I agree with you that obviously, the city's supposed to let you know what steps have to take place. I think that happened here because they turned in a site plan. They turned in an application for special land use. So I don't think that was the problem. It was obviously something happened that they did not go through the process correctly before their license was issued. I mean, it wasn't me. I wasn't here, but I'm just obviously something.
Yeah, but that's, I'm sorry, I don't want to make this between city and business, but this is exactly what happens. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. And guess who's caught in the center? Is a business owner who's got a little bit of money in their pocket. I don't know if he's got little or a lot, but I know I got little, in our pockets, and we come in with good feel to do something nice, and it's beneficial for everybody, when a business is open. It really helps with property taxes and helps with everything. I mean, it's just the support of one tiny business supports so many other little businesses and suppliers. It's just amazing. And that's what we try to do as business owners. And we're here to work as we can and respect the laws of the land. We really don't want to be breaking any laws, but we don't know it. I mean, as I said, it's hard to read governmental paperwork. I mean, I read it 10 different times and I get 10 different ideas depending on how I read it.
Right.
But anyways, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Afternoon, planning.
Good evening.
My name is Yvette Hardy, and I was before you all a couple of weeks ago.
Move the
I
microphone
was
over.
before you all a couple of weeks ago about a cigar lounge, and I have to agree with the doctor, this group here. We have to open up our ears and our eyes and get an understanding. We got a lot of nonprofit here in the community. Nonprofit, we all know what that means. They're not paying taxes. Like the doctor said, they want to come here, they want to put money into the community. There's so many people out here hurting. They need help. And the help that they're supposed to be receiving from the nonprofit, not getting it. Not getting it. Why? We don't know, but that's a good question. That's the $1 million question. The city not getting taxes from them because they're nonprofit. So, again, and I thank Councilwoman Richardson for coming to the meeting today because I believe that is good for the council so that one hand know what the other hand is doing instead of everybody being off balance. Planning, they got an open mind. Then when you go to city council, minds is closed because they don't have an understanding. And what I've always learned, in all you're getting, get an understanding. And that's what we have to do so that we can move the city forward. We can't move the city forward if we don't have an understanding. How can you? How can you make an objective decision when you come into one meeting hearing a glimpse of a person's plan? But if you come to the planning, you can get an understanding. Then when you go to council and you a councilwoman, councilman, you can vote objectively and not subjectively, not hang on to one word, pulling it out the sky. You say at church, that's what I'm saying. No. You need to understand this is community. And how are we going to help the community? We got to open our minds. I'm not a cigar smoker. I'm not a marijuana smoker. But I open my mind. I'm a religious woman. And I open my mind. How is it going to help the community? How are we going to build the community? If this money is going to come into this community to help the less fortunate, that's what we're supposed to be looking at. That's how we're supposed to be looking at this. For the past 3 weeks, my husband and myself with a hat shop, we have had a flood of people coming in there looking for help. That's crazy. The church is supposed to be doing that. They supposed to have them doors open to help the people. Where are they at? Where they at now? They not even here to help the people. We should have a resource guide in every business in the city of Inkster to be able to pass out to the people, to send them over here to this church, send them over to that church to get some help. It's ridiculous. I'm like the lady said, like Doctor said. One group don't know what the other one doing, and everything getting all mixed up. And you know who's caught up in it? Is the business. They're caught up in because people making the wrong decisions for the wrong thing. You got to look at the larger picture. It's about the community. You all took these oaths to serve the community. Let's serve the community. And I'm not speaking to you all personally because I don't know y'all personally. I'm just saying, just think about it. Go home and meditate. I took an oath to serve the community. Let's serve the community. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the general public who wishes to speak during the public hearing at this time?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I want to bring something to the new people's attention about this issue. I'm going to go back to Ms. Dixon when she spoke on this application got lost. And because the application, I think you said
2020.
2020. All right, so this was during COVID and everything like that. But the issue about the zoning for a daycare, I'm not mistaken, Mayor Nolan, you were representing that issue at the time with 315 North?
No.
You wasn't? Well, it got passed just from listening to the conversation where that was being introduced as a learning institution and was proven that a daycare is a daycare where you drop your kids off and pick them up. So that part of it got passed for 315 North to be
No, that was
open.
different. Back in 2006, 15, 2016, the ordinance did not speak to daycares and child care centers.
Right, and then Attorney Jones went and came back with a ruling, and if I was at a meeting, this issue been going on August, September, October, and November, as she said. It's been going on a while because I heard Councilman Watley speak on this issue 5 different occasions at council meetings.
It was changed though. In December 7, 2020, the ordinance was changed to include
Okay, but
daycare.
this guy business got open in 21. And so just to say to the new people, I think that...
His business wasn't open in 20.
She just said
His
it.
business just opened last summer, 23.
Okay, so, all right, but still, no, the city passed all his inspections. He got licensed, everything that he's supposed to do. What he did it. Because it sounds like a mistake happened within the city, we cannot hold businesses to bring lawsuits against these cities. We're a taxpayer. And if this man sued the city over the mistake that the city made, guess what? Our taxes are gonna go up again.
All right, thank you. Is there any additional persons from the general public who wishes to speak at the public hearing or during the public hearing at this time?
Good evening again, Abe Hashem. Some of you might know me, some of you do not know me. I own Midwest Recycling. I came to the city of Inkster 12 years ago. I brought my headquarters to Inkster, and I started doing business in Inkster. This is not the only business. I do own another real estate in the city of Inkster, and I consider the city of Inkster as my community. And as a matter of fact, I thought to write something down to come and pass what I did. And my son is sitting with me. And he said, Baba, why? What's going on? I said, Baba, this is our community. And this is what we do over here. We open business. We try to come over here and do the best we can. I bought that building when it was burned down and nobody wanted to buy it. I bought another properties where people did not want to buy it, did not want to invest in here. Even the warehouse where I'm at, when I bought it, it was almost a mess. I'm still developing and putting into that business and doing as much as I can into that community. What happened, it was not my fault. If I knew I had to go through the planning, I would be more than happy. And that's why I put my plans, I put my application, I put everything. And there was communication between the planner, which I think was Ms. Hines back then, and myself. So it's not something that I did that I avoid or tried to do shortcuts or to do anything. No, I'm fully open, and with all other businesses, any inspection, I was more than happy to get the inspection done. And anything the city had asked me to do, I got it done. When I bought my building on Michigan Avenue 26051, the fire chief back then asked me to install a sprinkler system. Cost me over $250,000. I installed it. That's what the city wanted. Not only with this business, but with every other business that I do, I comply with the city. Whatever the city asks, I'm here to work with the city, not against the city. Regarding the lawsuit, this is not my intention. But what happened is I was forced to do it. I consider myself part of that city. Thank you very much.
Before you have a seat, Mr. Hatcham, Commissioner Williams, and then Mr. Hatcham. Before you have a seat, Commissioner Williams has a question, and then Commissioner Willis.
I didn't hear you. What businesses do you own here?
I own Midwest Recycling, 26051 Michigan Avenue. I own the driving range. I own the industrial drive. I just built a warehouse over there, and I own the other land that I'm gonna develop again. I own a business over here, and I own the flower bowl.
So you own another marijuana business, the other flower bowl,
No, this is the only marijuana business I own. Okay. I was part of the old marijuana business on Michigan Avenue Flower Bowl, but that's not mine.
And I think I need clarity. So you were issued both a state and a local license?
Correct.
And with your other businesses, since you've been through this process with Inkster, were you given a notice to show up to the Planning Commission with the other businesses?
With other businesses, yes.
But you weren't issued a notice to show up for this is the flower bowl, correct?
The flower bowl too. No, I was never given any notice to show up to the Planning Commission.
Anything else, Commissioner Williams? Not to rush you, just asking.
I'm just, no, I don't think at this time.
Just question for myself, because this has been a lingering thing and it's been out in the community and whatnot, and in the paperwork we received from the attorneys and things of that nature. And I know, just using for example, Dollar General, when they came in and people in the area rallied at Lehigh and Inkster Road because they didn't want it there, but they ended up moving through permitted use down on Michigan and Inkster Road. Now that's not the same case. But when they came in and they talked about their parent company being, I forgot who it was, but they own like Starbucks and things of that nature. And people ask, well, have you ever thought of an alternative type of business, going to that particular entity? And I'm just asking that just in the event there was discrepancies or prolonged, whatever the case may be. Have you ever thought of any other businesses going into those particular suites?
Well, there's another, yes, we're looking to get some kind of restaurants or some juice into other, there's, I think, 4 other vacancy doors in that plaza. We're looking to get a food businesses or fresh juice or something to be into that plaza as well.
All righty. Thank you. Commissioners, did you have anything additional? No? Anything additional from the planning department?
Not at this time.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, we're still in the public hearing, so the general public, yes, you may approach. Please state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Martha Tice Lee. I am the past president of the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also a local business owner. I own Gabbard's Concrete right on Michigan Avenue, and I'd like to make a comment, and that is, this is something that we all together need to solve. Because there's a little bit more to it than just this issue. What I see here is that it's kind of a twofold thing going on here. Yes, today we're here for something going on with Mr. Hesham and Mr. Hesham's issue, Mr. Hesham's business over there on Inkster Road. But what we should all be looking at, we, meaning this commission, our city, our businesses, our chamber, we got an issue going on, and we together need to solve it. And I do mean together. Dr. Galani mentioned something about, hey, step A, step B, step C. Here, business owner, you want a business in our city? Did you cross off A, B, C, and D? Okay, ding, ding, you can start a business in our city now. And we need to start that, together. Not just this commission, but all of them. And we need to have that little ticker card. We really should do that. Maybe the chamber should take it on. I don't know. But we should really think about that together. This is unfortunate what happened. But we together really need to figure out how to solve this. I don't have the answer. But it does start with this board. And I really hope that we can all solve it. Okay? I mean, it's an unfortunate thing that happened. I don't have the answer, but it looks like there's a 2 or 3-fold issue that happened here, and I really hope that we can solve it. I don't know all the laws in the city. I've read the website a few times, and I'm a business owner, and darn it, I still can't figure it out, okay? But we need to make it a little bit easier. I am a business owner, but if I were to start another business, it's not that easy. And if somebody says, okay, you're all set, you got everything all done, you have, the engineering department says you're all set, here's your license. What's a business owner supposed to think? Hey, I'm done, I got the license, I'm ready to go. What are they supposed to think? What would you think?
I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
we do have a process, we do have a checklist.
I know, but
And he turned in what he was supposed to turn in.
yep,
The process was not followed correctly for him to get in front of us.
I get that.
And the city council. You're right, we have to fix it.
Yep.
There's some different things that can be done.
Yep.
But as we sit here today, we have to deal with what's in front of us,
I agree with you. So let's make it simpler for the next go-round, and let's all do it together. I mean, it's not fixing this, but let's just try to make it easier as we go forward. And I, for one, am here to say I'm willing to help. Thank you.
Ms. Tice, I'll ask the planning department too, because we do have what Mayor Nola was referring to, the checklist. It's called a pre-application process, and I believe there was a flow chart that's on file as well.
And I've seen it.
Steps, so.
Oh, I've seen it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was.
I've seen it.
Okay.
I've seen it.
Has all of the chamber ever received it? Maybe one on files for particular or potential.
You know, and maybe we need to take it out. Maybe we need to look at that one and look at our cities from 3 or 4 of them around us and say, okay, what's different between here and these other ones?
Okay.
You know, hey, let's look at it. Let's, what can we do to make it easier?
That is an option. Mm-hmm. All right. So, if you could, you or whomever from the chamber, they would like to leave their contact information.
Let's help so this doesn't happen. That's all we can do. Let's help so it doesn't happen again. That's all we can do. That's all we're all trying to do.
Absolutely. Mr. Dowdell and or Ms. Dixon, just make sure you all receive that information after the meeting, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All righty. Thank you. We're still in the public hearing for 315 Inkster Road. If there is anyone else from the general public who wishes to speak at this time, please approach the podium and state your name for the record.
I've been up here once before. Ladies first. No, I've been up here several times, and everybody knows I've been fighting against this for quite some time because it's just a problem. It's an issue here in the city of Inkster. These people, people keep bringing these establishments into our community. And when you ask what's in their community of this nature, you can't find one. So I'm thinking that possibly they care more about what their children are breathing and seeing and doing than they do care about mine who are here. You see, you say there's a mistake. Anytime I've ever heard of things like that, that they didn't know, this didn't happen. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. How many times have y'all heard that? So that's something you need to take in consideration. And if you want to, right now, you can go into the clerk's office and you can get the application for a marijuana business license, which has the application and all of the things listed that you must do. Now, and it's in all the ordinances, it's in everywhere. Nobody's hiding this from these people, I agree that maybe the last administration wasn't the best at doing what they're supposed to do. Well, no, that's a fact, okay? But right now, we can't keep doing the same mistake. We have to correct the problem at hand. And this is the problem at hand. Number one, he wasn't supposed to be there in the first place because of the daycare center. Bottom line. And when I was on council, that's what I told him. That's all you have to concern yourself with, And had he come before us, and they're talking about in 2020, I believe 2020 was the start of COVID. And we spent 2 years doing things or trying to figure out how to do things correctly. But nevertheless, that information was there for them. Now, whether or not they chose to read it, understand it, or even get a lawyer to help them understand it is their problem. My problem is making sure that they don't continue to do what they want to do in my city. And that seems to be what they're doing now. Thank you.
All right, thank you. One and then two.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Sorry I'm late. I was at my school. We had a basketball game tonight, but I found it necessary for my school, who I represent. My name is Sandra King, resident of Inkster, and I work for American International Academy. Raising a family, moving from Detroit to Inkster, was a choice that I made for my son, my youngest son, who's 7. I did not expect to be moving into a city where there are more dispensaries than there are schools. And to have one right across the street from a daycare center, and this epidemic that it seemed like these things are popping up and not going anywhere. And I have a problem with that only because there has to be more that we can bring into our city besides dispensaries. Now, I'm not going to say whose the blame is on, because right now, that doesn't matter. We have a problem today that needs to be solved today. The problem is we have a dispensary that was, according to what I researched, shouldn't have been allowed to be opened. But it is, and it's thriving. It's huge. They got a whole, and it's nothing. It's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. But the traffic and the sight of it, that they have one right here on Michigan. Now they have another one. If something else comes up, are they going to take a third one? Is it going to be 3 flower shops in the city of Inkster? I mean, flower bowls in the city of Inkster. We have to, as not only, it's not just your job. It's not just city planning. It's not city council, not the mayor's problem. It's a city of Inkster problem. And we as citizens need to be involved and invested in what comes in and out of our city as far as businesses. I hope that the body here, there's good citizens behind me, and the city council along with the mayor works that this never happens again, because this can't be the norm in our city. We want businesses to come to our city. We want Inkster to grow. Why would I bring my business to a city where all there is as far as businesses is dispensaries and grow houses? I live on Dunning. When I was told that they were putting a grow house on my street, I was quite upset, because this one right here emits a fume that I can smell from my porch. And at night, there's a glow that hovers over this building that's orange and kind of iridescent. It's like only over this grow house do you see this color. And I have a picture that I can send you guys to show that at night, this glow that hovers over this building. We don't need any more of these businesses in our city at all. And if 315 was opened illegally, it needs to be shut down immediately. I don't know what the debate is or how long what we have to do to close it down, but it never should have been open, and it needs to be closed ASAP. Because, there's 2 ways to do things. There's the right way, and then there's people just sitting outside the 315 and making a nuisance of themselves until it shuts down. And I'm willing to do that. I have nothing but air and opportunity and time to do this, but we have to do something. This can't be what we are as a city. And I'm hoping that this body, the city council, along with the mayor and the citizens, stop this from continuing. I have a school that's less than a mile away from this place. We don't want this. As a district, we don't want this. We don't want to see more of these things opening. I would hope that we have a plan to stop it. Because if there's still applications, if I can still get an application, that means we're accepting more of these things. Is that the case? Can I really go to city council and get an application for a dispensary? No? Okay, just want to make sure, because based on what I just heard, I was like, that can't be the truth. I hope not.
What couldn't?
I thought we had a moratorium. We ain't no more comment.
Do we have a moratorium on? I don't think so.
It was voted. I was here when it was voted.
Oh, there is a moratorium.
But if there's applications still available.
Nothing else supposed to come to the city.
Right. Even if you had one, you made copies of the past one and turned it in, it's not going to get processed.
Okay. All right. That's good to know.
That's the language that's put in there for both recreational and recreational and medical. Yes, please approach.
I mentioned before that I'm a business owner in the city of Inkster. I've owned a business for 25 years. I spend 80% of my time in Inkster. I own a home in Inkster. I own a home outside of Inkster. I take offense by being called those people. I support Inkster. I donate all sorts of my time. I donate to all sorts of programs and all sorts of things that go on to the city of Inkster. I do not own. I do not own an operating marijuana facility in Inkster. I support any legal business in our city. I take offense in anybody calling a business owner a problem. You got to, if something goes on into the city, who do you go to support? You go to the business owners, okay? So, we are not, you need to work together, okay? The city, the business owners, the residents, we all have to work together, okay? Together.
Martha, she wasn't, Martha.
Okay, and
Martha,
yes,
Martha,
yes.
Martha, she wasn't referring to you.
Okay.
She was talking about marijuana applicants.
Okay, well, all the business owners will stick together on this, okay? So yes, I did take that personally.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take one last comment because we're starting to have triple doubles now. And we need to move
again, Yvette Hardy,
Go right ahead.
as previous councilwoman Watley said. She said previous administration, but we have to know our audience. Chisholm was on council Last time he's on it this time. You was on it last time. So you kind of talking about yourself when you say you can't just look at the mayor, because the mayor, that's why they have council. So the council work with the mayor. You don't sit back and wait for him to do everything. You supposed to help him. And whining and complaining all the time, that's what she been doing. 4 years she was on council, the last 4 years. And that's what she doing now. A whole bunch of whining and complaining, which is unprofessional and is not a good look. Always saying no, no, no. Open up your mind and your ears because you don't do it. I'm not a drinker. I'm not a smoker. But I'm not going to say everybody else supposed to not drink and smoke because I don't do it. So, but if that's what the mass do and it's going to bring money to the community to help the community because it's an underserved community, let's be real about it. This community is underserved because there's a lack of money here in the community. That's the problem. And that's all I have to say.
All righty, thank you. At this particular time, if there's any additional residents who have not spoke that wish to speak during the public hearing, please feel free to approach the podium at this time. Other than that, we will begin to move towards closing the public hearing.
Good evening, Commission.
Good evening.
Audience. Just briefly, I can't speak intelligently about what happened with this particular issue, but I do want to just say some of us from the Chamber of Commerce are here. I'm one of the board members.
Just for the record, I'm sorry.
Oh, Joel Jones. I'm an Inkster resident. I live, work, and play in Inkster. Right, I'm hitting the button. And so I would just say, you know, based on, I've known Abe when he first came into the city with Midwest Recycling years ago. And just based on his sheer investment in the city, his commitment to charitable acts, to a lot of different things, we actually just voted him in as our vice president of the Chamber of Commerce also. And so, you know, just with his leadership and different things of that nature, we do like what he's doing. I know this issue is you know, tiresome for some folks. I know we just heard from the brother who mentioned the school. I actually just pulled up on Google just some things related to cannabis industries, and if time allows, I'd just like to read a few of them. It says, retail cannabis facilities are not positively associated with increased criminality. That might be why Detroit's crime went down, because they have a plethora of dispensaries out there. By contrast, dispensary closures are associated with increases in crime. Sometimes when you close them, crime does increase. Retail cannabis facilities are associated with rising housing values. And in a city like Inkster, with the bulk of our revenue coming from property taxes, we definitely want to raise property values here in the city. Dispensary clientele tend to be older against public or popular opinion, value access to specific strains of cannabis, and tend to require greater quantities of cannabis to treat their therapeutic conditions. The prevalence of cannabis dispensaries are not positively associated with increased teen use. So basically, they deal with their clientele and their clientele only. Cannabis retailers are not selling to minors, and their products are not being diverted to the underage market. And I'm happy to share this article and all the research with anyone that would like to read it. Retail cannabis access is associated with reduced opioid consumption by the general public. And those are just a few that I was noting. And like I said, I'm happy to share this information with anyone that wants it. Again, I can't speak intelligently about this issue. I hope that we do resolve it collectively so we can get back to handling business here in the city. I also do want to put on record, I do work at Midwest Recycling with Abe. However, I have no stake or no participation in any of the cannabis-related operations. So I'm simply coming up here as an Inkster resident, as an employee in business here in the city.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones, real quick. I'm glad you opened up the discussion, but it sounds like that's more of a discussion as whether we should change the ordinance. See, right now, it says what it says.
Right.
So this body in the city council has to enforce its own ordinances. We're open to someone petitioning to change it, to modify it. I'm not saying it's gonna pass. I'm just saying we're open to have that discussion, and that's information like you presented, information that some of the chamber members presented, that would all be pertinent to that discussion. But as we sit here today, the ordinance says what it says.
Right.
So we have to decide whether we're going to recommend the council approving a special land use when it violates the ordinance.
Right.
So to some degree, we don't have discretion Abe is a heck of a guy. I know that. He's done a lot for this community. He's invested a lot of money in this community. He's done things for us when we asked for help, like renovate parks and different things. So this has nothing to do with him as a human. But we do have this ordinance that either needs to be modified or enforced. That's what it comes down to.
Right, and when it comes down to amending the ordinance or changing the ordinance, I'm not sure, is that something that an issue like this would be able to be tabled while that's working, kind of at the same time, or is that something like?
I mean, the process petition to modify the ordinance can be started at any time. I guess the applicant could, Ms. Dixon, you help me out. I guess the applicant could withdraw a special land use request and then proceed with a petition to amend. I'm not exactly sure on that. But nevertheless, as like I said, right. I don't see why not. But
And then the other thing too, just wondering, I'm not sure when the Creative Kids Learning Center or daycare was open to, but based on the previous history at the location, I'm not sure if the responsibility would have been on the business at 315 or on the Learning Center that opened up there, as far as the recent ordinance change. Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's just
I thought they stopped for a while.
2020, the ordinance changed to include daycares.
Got you.
What happened? December 7, 2020, the council voted to change the ordinance.
Okay.
And I think Mr. Jones just piggybacking on that too, because we had another applicant who was actually trying to open a daycare in a different strip right near there. And she came before this body. She voiced all of those same concerns, and the way the ordinance reads, if a marijuana establishment is already in place, a daycare or school, whatever, can open. But if it's the other way around, if they were pre-existing, that marijuana establishment can't open. And that was just one of the conundrums that kind of what the general audience has spoke of about trying to read that and get these different interpretations. And sometimes we do have to consult legal because they're not always here at planning commission meetings, which kind of throws things off just a bit too. But I just wanted to bring that up because that question does come into play about the daycare being there already, was it functioning, and the past historical things that happened with dispensaries being in that area.
Yes, I definitely appreciate the clarity. And also just a final note, and I'm going to go sit down. I think Ms. Dixon mentioned that he's occupying 2,300 feet of a 10,000 square foot facility too. So again, just based on his previous track record and I guess aligning possibly with maybe some plans here in the city, the rest of that space could be used for something. So I'm just hoping that we reach a reasonable, resolution instead of just completely throwing what they say, the baby out with the bathwater, something like that. So that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we have our one more person.
Hi, just for the record, my name is Christine Constantino Jr. I did represent Flower Bowl 2 in the litigation for the Wayne County Circuit Court. One thing I just wanted to clarify that's been discussed is that the SLU was granted in 2016 by the city. That was then taken, and the waiver was sent in 2019 or 2018 to Mr. Clark to continue with the 6-month vacancy for the rebuild. Mr. Hashim provided the purchase agreement, all of the details to the city upon it becoming his. The issue that I just want to point out to the council is the daycare and the zoning may have been in December 2020. However, the city provided a certificate of compliance in April of 2023. There's actually nothing in the ordinance that allows for this review hearing. This review hearing should have happened prior to the business permits being issued, because then there would have been no money spent or reliance on rebuilding that property. The city issued those permits. The city did their inspections. My client did everything the city wanted. The city issued a certificate of compliance. The city then issued a business license. So, just for clarification, my client has done everything to comply with the city's ordinance. It is the city who has not complied. And now to strip him of a business license after he's been in operation would be to deprive him of his constitutionally protected property interest. So we do have an order from the court which states that the status quo must be maintained, and I think that any revocation here today would impact that.
No, first of all, this body doesn't have the power to revocate. 2, it's already been revoked. So
I disagree with
that's
that.
neither, well, you can disagree all you want, but that's neither here nor there for this body. We're here for a site plan and whether to recommend to council to approve a special land use, that's all. So you save your legal arguments for the courtroom. We're gonna do our job here tonight, and then we'll see what happens in the court. We're not enemies to Mr. Hatcham. I mean,
I'm not saying
no
that you
one
are. I
up
just
here
wanted to give some
dislikes him.
clarification here because of the time frame of the daycare. There's been some questions. I mean, there is no ambiguity that it was April of 2023 that my client was completely in compliance by the city.
No, he wasn't completely in compliance. That's when the city issued the license.
Issued the certificate of compliance followed by a business license.
You know, a certificate of compliance goes to the building. That's all. It doesn't mean you get a business license. The license was issued, and it shouldn't have been issued until he came before Planning Commission and City Council.
What does the certificate of compliance?
It just means that the building was repaired up to code. It doesn't mean you get issued a business license for a marijuana business.
It doesn't mean it's in compliance with the city's
How could it be in compliance if it never came before the Planning Commission or City
I
Council?
just wanted to clarify for the record and let you know what our
Well, I mean, you
position
didn't
is.
clarify that, you just created
And
another
so
argument.
I'll let you vote, but as you said, we'll reserve arguments for the court.
Alrighty, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead at this time and ask the floor is open for a motion to close. Well, commissioners, do you have any final statements? I'm sorry. All right, anything additional again from the planning department?
Not at this time.
Not at this time, thank you. All right, at this time, the floor is open for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The public hearing is now closed. We're down to item number 6, unfinished business. At this time, we don't have any unfinished business. Moving down to item number 7, new business. Item 7A, case number 20-37 site plan. Site plan for marijuana retailer at reconstructed retail plaza at 315 Inkster Road. Ms. Dixon.
Thank you, Chairman. Our site plan review is specifically for the reconstruction of, it was mainly the facade that was damaged in the fire, so the footprint of the building remained the same, the parking area has remained the same. And so we just wanted to note a couple of items that we believe, this being reviewed now, I know that it's already kind of up and operational, but percentage calculations of the total glass area were not provided for the building on the site plan, although by the appearance, they do seem to meet the minimum 30%. So that was something we would have asked for on the site plan. The landscaping standards that were depicted on the site plan don't necessarily align with what's actually been planted on the site. We do understand there's some difficulties with the right-of-way with Wayne County, because Inkster Road is a Wayne County right-of-way, so that may be some part of the issue, but that's another discrepancy. The wall height was listed as 5 feet on one part of the site plan and 6 feet on another part, so we would ask that the rectified that for consistency. I believe it is actually a 5-foot wall, which the previous site plan approval did give waiver for, so that technically is not in compliance with the zoning ordinance, but back in, I believe it was 2015 when the site plan came before Planning Commission, that wall was given a waiver to be 5 feet at that time. There was no illumination plan provided with the site plan, and there was no maneuvering lanes dimensions provided in the parking lot. So those were the site plan concerns from a purely clerical standpoint. As you can see, they are nothing that is significantly at odds with the ordinance, and we believe that the building as it is today is in compliance with the zoning ordinance. These were mostly items that just needed to be noted on the site plan themselves if we were going through the process.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, the floor is open for a motion to approve or deny the site plan for marijuana retailer at reconstructed retail plaza at 315 Inkster Road. Again, this is just the site plan.
I move that we accept the site plan with the conditions stated by the planner.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there further discussion from this body about the site plan review?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
The green belt between Inkster Road, the grass, and the sidewalk, I don't think too much can be planted there because you got the water main, you got some pipeline going that way. So I think that should just stay green.
Okay. And it looks like,
Yeah, it is in our experience, the planning department, with other sites along Inkster Road, that it's not viable to plant the required landscaping for the right-of-way trees, which is what I imagine happened when there's that discrepancy of what was displayed on the site plan. Trees were depicted in that small strip of right-of-way green space, but other areas along Inkster Road, because of the utilities and because of the plowing concerns of the county actually won't issue permits for those.
alrighty. Anything further for discussion, commissioners, on the site plan? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. We are down to item 7B. Case number 20-38, special land use to allow a marijuana retailer at 315 Inkster Road in the B2 thoroughfare mixed-use district. I guess, Ms. Dixon, you just give a brief recap.
Yeah, as we discussed during the public hearing, this body is being asked to offer a recommendation to City Council regarding the special land use as it is assessed against the 9 items in the zoning ordinance, as well as the additional use standards. And as we noted, there are concerns in the additional use standards regarding the site location being within about 114 feet property line to property line of that child care center. So that does not comply with the additional use standards for marijuana retailers at this time. So the other items that we did discuss are a little bit more minor or relatively up for discussion, but that is a very clear, measure that I just want to bring to this body's attention.
Thank you. Alrighty, commissioners, the floor is open for a motion to approve or deny to recommend the special land use to Inkster City Council for marijuana retailer at 315 Inkster Road in the B2 thoroughfare mixed use district.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I would move we deny, we would recommend to deny of the special land use to the Inkster City Council because it violates our marijuana ordinance.
Is there support?
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded. I'm sorry for saying support instead of second.
Seconded.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion from this body? Commissioner Willis.
I just have one question for Mr. Hatchett.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Abe, I know you've been owning businesses for years around here. Now, question.
Yes.
All your other business, did you have to go in front of the planning commission?
When I first bought the warehouse, I had to come from the planning commission because it was shut down for about 3-4 years.
Okay. How about your other businesses?
Yes, so the warehouse I had to come from the planning commission.
So is there a particular reason why you didn't feel that you had to come before the commission before the body for the
For the
5-0?
315? No, I was open to it, but when I put my planning, they said there was an SLU over there. I don't need to come to the planning commission. And that's why I was granted all this approval.
May I ask who told you that?
The planning commission, I think Ms. Hines used to be back then in 2020. Katie Hines, if I'm not wrong.
You're talking about Melanie Hines?
No, Caitlin Hines.
Caitlin Hines, I
Caitlin
believe.
Hines.
Yeah,
Oh,
I believe
okay.
so. If I'm not mistaken. And there's communication between the city and myself asking, and I think the public work wanted me to clean the manhole, the catching base, make sure it's all clear and pave the parking lot and do everything. So I was trying to do everything the city, and they asked me to come to the planning commission. I'd be more than happy to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
just to add some clarity to Commissioner Willis's question. Mr. Hatcham did make the appropriate applications in 2020 for this site. I was not here. I cannot speak to exactly what happened. Ms. Hines was the planner at that time. She did go through partially processing this. She then, my understanding is, left the city. There was a period of time where that office was vacant, as well as some other offices, I believe, in the city. And during that time, this did not get finished processing and coming before Planning Commission. I just offering that kind of clarity of the timeline that the application was made, and then I'm not sure what happened after that point, but that Mr. Hatcham did make the application, which is what we're reviewing this evening.
Thank you. Anything further, commissioners? And I just want to remind you all too, as we do sometimes in some of these instances with the special land uses, we have to take a vote regardless if it's a recommend to deny or a recommend to approve to city council. And of course, this isn't the final step. It goes to city council and it goes from that point. But this is part of the process that we have to take that vote. So thank you for bringing the matters to the floor, because we have been in instances where nobody would take it up and then we're at a stalemate. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor for recommended denial to the city council for the special land use for 315 Inkster Road?
Could you say that one more time?
So all in favor for recommended denial?
Denial.
Oh,
yes.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. These matters have been recommended for denial to city council. We're down to item 7C, case number 24-01, site plan enhancements for Department of Public Services yard at 26900 Princeton Avenue. Ms. Hines, and I know we do have DPS here as well and the city engineers, so however you guys would like to defer to Ms. Hines. Defer to Ms. Dixon. My apologies.
Thank you, Chairman. The City of Inkster Department of Public Services has proposed some site enhancements to their yard on Princeton Avenue at 26900. And this includes an expansion of the main building in the rear, so to the north on their site, to add about 4,000 square feet, and then to demolish 2 buildings also in the yard, and replacement of the front yard fence, as well as some new pavement for potentially a proposed future animal control center on site. I know that obviously the Department of Public Services representative and the city's engineer are here and can speak in more detail about the intentions of the site, but in the perspective of the planning department, as we reviewed this site plan for the zoning ordinance standards, we had very few concerns. We did not receive a photometric plan, which we have discussed with the city engineer and the Department of Public Services representative, and they have indicated their willingness to submit it. They just simply could not complete that before this review. We believe that can be approved administratively. And then a security plan. I know they are already obviously hooked up with the city police, but anything that might be new in the back of the building will need to have cameras as well. And then the city engineer, because they were providing the plans, we had a secondary engineer from Giffords-Webster also review the plans, and that review has been included as well. So the use and the dimensional standards have all been met. The architectural features have been met. We have no concerns about pedestrian access. We don't have any concerns about landscaping, screening, or buffering, given that it's a relatively minor change in the existing yard, and we're not really encroaching onto any of the existing setbacks. So if you have any questions, let myself or Department of Public Services representatives know.
Alrighty. Commissioners, I guess do you have any questions at the time? Alrighty, hearing none, the floor is open for a motion to approve the site enhancements for Department of Public Services yard at 26900 Princeton Avenue.
So moved. Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Daryl, you sounded kind of strong when you said that second there. About the enhancements at DPS.
He is a vested interest.
All righty. We're down to item number 8, miscellaneous. First item is item A, annual planning report and annual work plan. Planning Department, turn this over to you.
Thank you. I think this is always kind of an exciting part of the year, an exciting moment for this body. We reflect upon kind of what was accomplished in 2023, and we look forward into 2024 and think about some of those larger items that the commission and the city might want to tackle. So in review of 2023, we have provided a report of the meetings, the approvals that have occurred. I'm not going to bore everyone and list those out, but the body did meet 11 times, and the heard a lot of cases, as well as the planning department approved administratively number of reoccupancy, sign permits, and administrative site plans. In addition, the city council approved amendments to the marijuana ordinance, which allowed that to be an incorporation of social equity, also added additional standards to reduce odor with associated businesses, updated the zoning ordinance in adding some uses to make the city hopefully more business friendly, including personal service establishments, rental halls, banquet facilities, and food processing centers. And then finally codified the Downtown Development Authority's guidelines for the signage for the town center district. I definitely want to tip my hat and give a round of applause to the Redevelopment Ready certification ad hoc subcommittee. They worked really hard to get a number of documents completed and submitted to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. That included the unofficial recruitment process for new members, a training strategy, which we've started to implement and is later in your agenda, an orientation packet, which we've been able to already utilize for our 2 new members, and then a kind of town hall type meeting to update the public participation plan and get us closer to that redevelopment ready certification.
Real quick, Ms. Dixon, with the RRC part, I had Kimberly Faison, who's a part of the ad hoc committee, reach out and just ask about speaking towards that grant application that was submitted. Is that part of
that will be in the 2024 kind of looking ahead.
All right. Right ahead.
Yes, the RRC subcommittee has really positioned the city well for some grant opportunities that we are hopefully going to utilize for some of the 2024 activities. Namely, the master plan update. I know it's something we've discussed for a number of years. The last master plan was adopted in 2017. The Michigan Planning Enabling Act requires that master plans be assessed every 5 years. So, you know, it's a timely moment to look at that, as well as kind of a large amount of circumstances have changed since 2017. So part of this has been a grant application to MISHDA, the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, for hopefully $50,000. That would just be a grant free and clear to help prepare the master plan. And there's money allocated specifically for RRC engaged communities. So that really does help the city's chance in hearing about that grant and the success of that application. In addition, there is technical assistance funds through the RRC program, through the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Those are matching funds, so that is something that the city would need to budget, at least allocate some funding so that we would leverage that additional support from MEDC to help with the master plan update as well. I know Ms. Faison, Mr. Dowdell, and myself have all had conversations with the city's representative from MEDC, Stephanie Pina, and their recommendation is for a very full community engagement process. That was really what they wanted to see in a new master plan, was something that was really, really thoroughly from what the community's vision for the community is, for what the city is going to look like going into the future. So we know that takes time. So kind of the discussion between the EDC representative and our own assessment, we're hoping to leverage funds and get most of the cost covered for about $75,000 budget for that project. Like I said, hopefully the $50,000 from MISHDA comes through free and clear. That gets us, 3/4 of the way there. So that's hopefully going to be in the works. The city can also look into, as kind of, I guess, in concurrence with the master plan, creating a marketing plan. This is also an RRC best practice, so we would be checking this off towards certification. And as we've discussed, certification opens up more doors for assistance from the state of Michigan. So we would be able to start marketing specific sites in the city and looking at really that economic development partnership. But in order to get to that level, there's kind of all these levels, the city would need an official marketing plan. Part of the RRC strategy as well is developing incentive tools, and I know it's something that the city's already talking about, payment in lieu of taxes, brownfield TIFs, or neighborhood enterprise zones, and those are things that as a body can be incorporated into larger city policy. There's non-financial programs, there's financial programs, and we can figure out what might be the best fit. And in addition, it's really a best practice, and it's a requirement of the Michigan Planning Enabling Act to have a capital improvement plan. And that feeds into your budget. It's, your infrastructure, your streets, your pipes, everything kind of goes into that 6-year plan so that you can really have the forecast and the foresight to see what's coming up. And hopefully that matches with the master plan process as well in terms of the initiatives recommended in the master plan. So, this is kind of our recommended work plan for the Planning Commission. I think they all kind of work together in this master plan update process, and it's obviously going to be contingent upon the type of funding that the city receives. But I'm excited. I think this is it's a great turning point for the city, and tonight the Planning Commission can recommend this to City Council, and obviously we can have further discussion on the work plan as well.
I have a question. The grant with MISHDA, that's open, or is there a deadline?
It opened, I believe it was January 6th, yeah. And we've already applied. Okay. It's on a rolling basis, so it's first come, first serve. And we applied, I believe, in that first week. So hopeful to hear back relatively soon.
Anything further, Commissioner Williams?
Nope, that's it.
Commissioners, anything further about information that Ms. Dixon Commissioner Williams on this side.
So as one of the original members of the RRC Ad Hoc Committee, I extend to our newly appointed and to some of our ones who are currently was sitting here prior to come join us. As Jane stated, we made some great progress last year, and MEDC was basically letting us know that we've made it a lot farther than a lot of other municipalities that are similar in our position. So we have the opportunity now. The state is looking at us in a positive way because we really have started to try to lay the groundwork to move our community forward, and for that funding to even be offered to us, I don't think, Jane, you guys had no idea that was going to even be offered to us, because we didn't even realize we were that far along in the process to even have that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So we need to keep our boots on the ground and keep moving.
I just wanted to add to Commissioner Williams' statement. So I'm excited about the upcoming revisions to the master plan, and I did take advantage of the RRC training that actually started last Tuesday. Awesome. So that would be 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So I had my first workshop last Tuesday, and then we have our next one tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping to leverage what I learned there to put towards this.
Busy. Good.
That's awesome. If I may just add on that note, yes, the MEDC, especially because it's been such a group effort and it's been a citizen-led initiative that's really helped open up greater support for the city in this programming towards master plan update, towards the zoning ordinance update, and the other programs that MEDC offers. And, we heard a lot about making it easier to open a business in the city and creating that partnership. And part of this process will really help to do that and streamline things, make it clear, have everyone on the same page, and we will come together and hear what it is that people need and what they want from the business community, from the residents, and that's really going to be the foundation of the whole process.
Thank you. I know you mentioned something about recommending this to City Council. Were you talking about the report itself or the work plan?
I suggest that the work plan and the report kind of function together so City Council gets an idea of what Planning Commission really achieved in the last year and kind of looking forward as a basis. It is part of the Planning Enabling Act that this gets kind of filed with the City Council.
Gotcha. So you can accept and recommend?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, is there anything further regarding the information that Ms. Dixon has shared with us? All right, hearing none, then the floor is open for a motion to accept and recommend to City Council the annual planning report and the annual work plan.
I move that we accept the annual planning report and work plan.
I support.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Down to item number 8B, training opportunities. As you all see, there's a couple of them, and these all relate to, I believe we went over these in the last meeting. Looks like the majority of these are on Zoom. A couple of them, we talked about them being far out. So yes, as you saw, Commissioner Williams here has taken advantage of one of the opportunities for the RRC. These are very helpful trainings. It helps hone your skills and just provides you more in-depth information about what not only Inkster is doing, but what the surrounding area is doing when it comes to zoning and things of that nature. And it's always helpful when you bring those resources back to this commission and been able to share, and it just helps the community overall when you stand there talking to them, either at a meeting here, at a city council meeting, whatever the case may be, town hall, state, or the city address. It's always helpful to have that information at your fingertips. So please, if you feel compelled to do so, take advantage of these, and we will go from there. Any questions or comments about the training opportunities?
I have a question.
Commissioner Hayes Bradford.
Last summer, I completed the RRC training. I think that ad hoc committee was going at that time. Now they kind of, have you resumed back meeting?
We're getting ready to start resuming for this 2024. So you gonna get the message.
Cool.
Mr. Wood.
Oh yeah.
we coming. We gonna get you.
She's volunteer for everything. Don't worry about her.
I'm a policy person.
Okay. Well, Dan, you heard that?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go.
All righty, great. One other thing, and I had mentioned this to you guys one or two meetings ago. Yeah, I said it right. It sounded wrong. Was the election of officers. We have to elect every annual meeting a chairperson, a vice chair, and a recorded secretary. So at this time, be it your pleasure, we can open the floor up for nominations. Have you all given that some thought?
10 seconds.
All righty. Well, the floor is open for, I guess, the nomination for, do we start at the top or the bottom?
Let me start with you first.
Right on. There you go. I'll write you there, right there.
Hey.
I nominate Steve Chisholm to be the chair.
I second.
Third.
So, all right. So it's been properly moved and seconded for the nomination of chairperson. That was what was just open, ladies and gentlemen. And we're in discussion. So for clarity purposes, no one else at this time for the next year would like to fulfill the seat of chairperson.
That's improper. Point of order.
All righty then. Well, all in favor? I accept the nomination. All opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations.
Me.
Right.
All righty. So that was chair.
Who's going to be the vice chair?
So
Vice chair, no, because
all right. The floor is open for a nomination for vice chair of the Planning Commission.
I want to talk to you too.
Nominate Tanya.
I nominate Ashley Williams.
Well, we had one. We had one nomination,
What
and
you got?
then she said
Oh,
Tanya. Well, okay. So wait a minute. We got this one on the floor. So you've nominated. Is there support for the nomination?
Support.
Do you accept the nomination? Okay. All righty. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations, Commissioner Williams.
Stuck together again.
All righty. Moving right along. Our third election of an officer, which is the recorded secretary. The floor is open for a motion to nominate a recorded secretary.
I would nominate Ms. Williams.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been properly moved in second. Now we're in discussion, and you can state whether or not you want to accept the nomination, or we can elaborate.
Elaborate?
We can elaborate on recorded
the
secretary.
duties of recording secretary, because I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but when I accept something, I want to make sure that I can fully do it and
we will
be
make
thorough
sure
at it, and I don't want to overextend myself. So I just want to be clear on what the expectations are for recording secretary.
So past practice, at one time when I was recorded secretary, basically I just certified the minutes that the planning department took and signed off on it. Because at that time we had a planner, a planning assistant, and then of course we had the economic developer and everything too. As we moved forward and we got on Zoom, things slightly changed. And it was still that, but the recorded secretary assisted with keeping track of the votes and things of that nature, because it was just Zoom. Everything was brand new, and we were trying to figure it out. As we came back in, I believe with Commissioner Daniels at the time being recorded secretary, did you all in the planning department provide her with a document to fill in everything, or how was the minutes being taken exactly?
Yes, Commissioner Daniels we had a template, and she would go back through and watch the Zoom and record, who made the motions, etc. She was very generous with her time, but that's not a requirement. It was very much appreciated at that time as well, because we were really one person part-time department. So it really helped with the department's capacity. So there's been a multitude of arrangements, and it can be arranged depending on the personal preference of the secretary.
Okay, so it sounds like I have some negotiating room. Okay,
We just leverage with it.
Okay, I won't be forced or relegated to do it one specific way. Okay, I think I'm okay. Like I said, I don't want to have anything. I want to fully show up. I want to meet I'm a timely. I take pride in things like that. So I don't.
So you are decent and in order, and that's what that means.
I don't want to, like I said, overextend myself. I have a lot of things going on, so I just want to make sure that I can fully show up in the way that
be decent and in order. That's what we need.
You accept?
I accept.
Good. Thank you. She has accepted. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations, Commissioner Williams. So the one to my left and the one to my right. And I believe you already showed loyalty and dedication by taking that training on this early in the process.
Yes.
And you are at the meetings consistently, and you do ask questions that are pertinent. So I think you'll do just great in that position. You might even raise the bar. So for the next incoming person as recording secretary.
No pressure at all.
All righty. So we are done with the election of officers. We've talked about the RRC. We are down to second hearing of the public. This is for items not scheduled for a public hearing or on the agenda. So at this time, anyone from the general public, again, for items that were not scheduled for a public hearing, which we've already spoken to, and not on the agenda, you have an opportunity to approach and address this body at this time. Please state your name for the record.
I thought we was motion to close.
My name is Sandra Wiley, Inkster resident, and a question came up when I was listening, when I was at the city council meeting. One of the council people mentioned the great work going on at the city hall up there on Inkster Road.
The old city hall?
The old city hall, yeah.
2121 Inkster Road.
Okay, you smart.
Well, you'll have someone asking about 261 215. So
Okay, real good. I concede. I wanted to know, to avoid more problems like we're having this evening, has a site plan been done, or does he need to do a site plan before work is done on that building?
The planning department, please speak to that, please.
It depends on the type of work. I'm not aware of the exact type of work that's occurring at this moment, but if it's just bringing it up to code, building code, there's not a site plan requirement. When they go through for a use and there's parking and site work needed, that's when this site plan comes into action. So I don't know the particulars of that case at this moment. There is a good chance they're just working on bringing it up to code. I'm not going to speak with any certainty to that, but there is a route where they could just be pulling building permits at this time.
Okay, and is there any way, once again, to avoid other situations of this nature, how we go about finding out that? Can we speak to the building department or something of that nature?
Right there.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Is permits and work being done to bring up to code that building? Is that what's going on in there now?
Which building is that?
The old Inkster City Hall.
No permits.
No permits. All right. Well, thank you. I guess that's something we can move forward with, asking the planning department and or the building department or the clerk's office to reach out to Mr. Dixon. We have not seen him in some time. There have been questions. I thought one of our council members at the last meeting or two has spoke of asking him to, or reaching out to him for him to come before us. I haven't heard anything, but I'll follow up with that as well.
Okay, thank you. And one other thing, in reference to the air quality in Inkster that I've been complaining about, I have reached out to all our state and local representatives, and I got a call today, and one was from our representative's office. I also got one from the state representative too. And he's inquiring if the city or the residents in the city who are experiencing the same thing might identify those areas for him, because they're in contact with Eagle, reference this. And we want to make sure that we're able to point where the issues are. So this is just, if you all run and talk to people or the residents or things of that nature, and somebody brings up to you that they're experiencing a particularly bad air quality in some of the areas of the marijuana facilities, please let me know, and I will forward that information to him.
All right.
Thank you.
All righty. Anybody else from the general public? Again, these are for items not listed as a public hearing and not on the agenda.
Doing the Jewel. Good evening. My name is James Eberhard, Inkster City resident as well. Just had a couple of questions that came up regarding the grant that you all was applying for to get assistance. What was the funding amount for that grant? It wasn't a dollar amount that was stated that would assist with the planning department with development from Ms. Dixon.
$50,000.
Okay. And then also regarding the master plan, is it any opportunity in ways that local residents can assist with the process with the planning commission? And when does that open up to assist with the master plan as well?
It's going to start next week. At the State of City, we're going to have some tables out, try to get some information from residents, and it's going to be a whole process where we're going to ask the public to come in. We did it last time where you have, it's different, it's almost like a workshop you go through where we try to get information from the public as to what they want to see in the city, where they want to see it. And so we'll definitely be doing all that.
Okay. And then my last question in regards to the training opportunities that's presented on the agenda. Are those public training opportunities for the residents to get involved, because there's no information in regards to the Zoom, or would that be on the city website? It just says Zoom in regards.
If you go to the city website, those links, the titles are links, and they will take you to the registration information. There is a cost associated with these trainings. They're offered through the Michigan Association of Planning. There is for citizens who are interested in the planning process especially, there's a citizen planner program that I would suggest you look into. And a lot of these trainings fall into the citizen planner program, and you can become a certified citizen planner. So if you have a particular interest in planning, I would look into that. And like I said, if you do go and view this agenda on the city's website, those links will take you to these training opportunities.
I also believe that Michigan State University has an extension program
That's correct.
for the planning and zoning or citizen planning.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. That was all my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. And if there's anyone else from the general public, please approach at this time.
So once again, Sandra King.
That's what that button.
That button messed with me. Stay on Dunning. I just need to know do you guys know what's happening with this grow house that's supposed to be built in my neighborhood? Because they came through a year and a half ago, cut down trees and dug holes, and it overgrows, and it's now with the rain and all that stuff, all that slush is coming into the street, and we're having to clean out manholes because we don't want flooding to take place on our street. But this thing is becoming a nuisance. It was supposed to be developed. It's supposed to be up by now. There's nothing going on. Haven't seen anybody out. But if it's not gonna go, what's the plan? Like, is there a way that land can be? I mean, I know we can find them, but what can we do to either push this project forward, which I don't want that to happen, or to like take back or buy back or sell it or whatever? Because this is a nuisance.
So 2615 Bayhand is the actual physical address for the entity that he's speaking of. Is the planning department able to speak to those matters right now? Or could you follow up with him if not?
I can follow up further. I will offer the initial comments of what I'm aware of. The applicant, to my knowledge, it was still working through the licensing whole system, has pulled permits, has worked to pull permits with Eagle and Wayne County for the stormwater management. The engineer was here earlier and would speak more to this specifically, but the last I heard, which was probably a couple months ago, was that they were still moving forward with this project, and there was some holdups in the upper levels of the licensing process. I'm happy to look into it further and offer more information, but just off of the top of my head, that's what my awareness is.
So when it comes to procedure, so they buy the land, then they wait to get licensing.
So the applicant cannot go and apply for most types of licenses without getting approval from the city first. So the city did issue the approval. I don't remember what year it was that address was given their special.
March 2019.
Okay. They then have a year to start pulling permits. Once they pull permits, and they show a good faith effort to continue to work through the process, that has established their special land use as the code is written.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. That would have been March 2020.
Okay. And so, again, my understanding is that they have been in the process of pulling permits. They pulled permits with the city within the 1 year time frame for the special land use to become established. That's really the end of my knowledge, though, on this site specifically.
So Bayham is the property they own. Dunning is what they have to develop.
The address is on Bayhan, but it is adjacent to Dunning. So we're referencing the same property. It's just the way that parcel is addressed. It's addressed on Bayhan, but it's that whole area along Dunning.
Okay. So I guess my question is, so this spring and summer when the overgrowth take place, are we fining them consistently? And if are their fines being paid? Are they being fined? Because if I leave a trash can on my block for too many days, I get ordinance coming by. But they have had consistent, this place has become like a little dumping area now, and the runoff is serious. And it's getting, the more it rains, the dilution of the land is coming a factor to our street. It's affecting our street. I don't want to have a problem where a problem can be avoided by the city council or planning or ordinance doing something to either further push this thing along, see when is this going to take place? We need to know. It can't be these ambiguous time frames where they're working through the process and we're suffering, because that's what's happening. I made a couple of phone calls. That's why the grass got cut, but it hadn't been cut all summer. And we have rodents and things in that area. So I guess my question is we need to work through some type of process so there's a time frame in which these buildings have to be erected. and not just like we have a lot right next to us, this building that's just sitting there. That's supposed to be special use. Am I correct? How long is that going to take? How long is that property going to sit there before it becomes vertical? These are things that we need to put in our policies and procedures where you have a time frame that you have to go vertical, or that land you have to figure out something else to do with it because it affects the community. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
I got a question for you. The runoff, the rain runoff, they built the retention pond for the water to run into that pond. So you're saying when it's raining, it's not running into the pond, it's running into the
pond. What they did was this is the land. They have a pond in the middle, but the overgrowth has created mounds where when the water hits it, it runs back into the street. It's not close enough. The slope is not close enough to the water, to the pond where it runs backwards, it runs forward. So, and if you come down now, there's still greenery that's overgrown into the streets. Well, when water it gets wet, that becomes like a little mini waterfall when it holds too much water and it runs into the street.
Go ahead and take a look at it.
All right, thank you. Anybody else from the general public at this time? Hearing none. My final thing to you all, as you heard when I walked in and the mayor had said he had saw some of my family members on TV. Some of my relatives were being interviewed by CNN because unfortunately we have unwarranted wars going on. And the drone attacks that happened in Jordan, one of my cousins was one of the troops that was killed. And so, again, it's an unwarranted war. I don't condone it. I do, support our troops that protect our freedoms and things of that nature. As you all know, in the most recent past, we just had my father's funeral. Another cousin that passed just before his funeral. So life is lifing. And I just ask that you keep my family and everybody in your prayers. We are down to, commissioners, do you have anything? Alrighty, hearing none, we are down to adjournment. The floor is open for a motion to adjourn. So move.
Support.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Time is 8:16. This meeting is now closed. Yes, sir.